Pierre Poilievre voted against raising minimum wage, voted against $10 a day daycare, against the child benefit, against daycare for kids, against middle class tax cuts. He voted against increasing support for seniors. Now, some of these I'm going to read because this is quite long. As well, he was also a conservative, not only under a liberal government. He did vote to ban abortions. He voted to cancel veterans' disability. He voted against workers' rights, against housing initiatives. He voted to raise the retirement age. He voted to slash OAS and CPP. He voted for scabs. He refused security clearance. Why, we don't know. He instructed his MPs to keep silent on gay rights. It is the opinion of democracy that LGBTQIA2+ human rights will be compromised if Poilievre becomes PM. So that one is kind of a directional assumption based on what he has said now. He voted to cancel school lunch programs for children experiencing poverty. Not a word on the unaliving of Navalny. He voted against aid for Ukraine. We know that conservatives don't really care about climate change. He's been flying all over the country to put himself into power on our dime. So 2023 and 2024, travel and hospitality from Pierre Poilievre is 14 million plus. We all know that he doesn't have a good reputation for telling the truth. You can fact check him pretty good. He vowed to, quote, wield the notwithstanding clause, unquote, therefore taking our charter rights away. He has publicly stated that he would not support pharmacare and dental care at least twice. He supplied coffee and donuts to the trucker convoy who were funded by MAGA and Russia. And here's the thing, what I'd like to know is, I don't know why anyone would put up and pay for a giant Pierre Poilievre for PM flag on the back of their truck when Pierre Poilievre was not the leader of the Conservatives at the time. I didn't even know who he was until the convoy. Aaron O'Toole was the leader, and 8 months later, Pierre Poilievre became the leader. I can't see why truckers would pay for that with an unknown who's not out there. That's why I think he paid for it. He publicly stated, he advocated to replace Canadian money with Bitcoin, unregulated, no intrinsic value. He scapegoated Trudeau for causing inflation while inflation was global and Canada had one of the lowest rates in the world, and they still do. We're like a whole point behind the U.S. He scapegoated Trudeau for causing interest rate hikes while Trudeau had zero power or influence over the Bank of Canada, which is why Pierre Poilievre wants to fire the governor of the Bank of Canada, because of the fact that he has the power to do that without the government. So he's telling you that it's Trudeau's fault, but he also wants to fire the governor because it's his fault. So yeah, kind of a speak out of both sides of your mouth kind of situation. He constantly scapegoats Trudeau by falsely claiming that the air pollution fines are a main driver of inflation in Canada, even though he knows that it's completely false and it was proven. I already showed you guys a chart on my live yesterday that shows even the food prices are higher in U.S. than Canada, and Canada has the carbon tax and U.S. does not, but yet he blamed the carbon tax on food prices. He advocated for making drug addicts unalive sooner rather than later, since forced rehab doesn't work unless an addict wants to get clean and requires violating two different human rights. These are not my words, so I probably would have worded that one differently, but I mean, he doesn't support safe rehab, and it's already been proven many, many times that actually saves lives. He clearly stated he intends to implement massive austerity cuts and measures on all government spending, and that's his dollar for dollar. I would like people to ask him, you have huge spending ideas, where are you going to cut because of his dollar for dollar statement? I think it's a fair question. He publicly stated he will defund the CBC. He has consistently deemed journalists who ask salient questions but will give interviews to extreme right persons such as Jordan Peterson. Yeah, he won't go on Vassy. Why won't he go on Vassy or Power and Politics? I've never seen him on them in 2 years. Pierre's conservative anti-worker voting record is really bad. I'm wondering if we should make a separate video just on that. Paid sick leave bill in 2021, voted against it. Required federal regulated employees to provide 10 days of paid sick leave, voted against that. Anti-scab legislation. Ban replacement workers during strikes, lockouts, and federally regulated industries, voted against that. Workplace health and safety protections, reversed Harper's era changes that weaken health and safety protections. He voted against that. He voted against pension protections. He voted against the $15 federal minimum wage. Voted against expanding union rights, so repealing Harper's union certification. CERB expansion, voted against that. And we know pharmacare, dental care, voted against it. EI reforms, extending employment insurance benefits during COVID, voted against that. Pay equity legislation in 2018, enforced equal pay for equal work in federally regulated sectors, voted against that. Yeah, that's basically his voting record. So when I look at people that I am possibly going to vote for, I want to look at what they've done and look at what they're saying right now during their rallies. And I can guarantee you what he does and what he says is polar opposite.